And right now, we have Southard Jones, who's with us. He's the VP of Product Strategy at Birst. Big presence in the expo hall out there. And maybe if you could, just give us a self-intro and tell us what you do at Birst and what Birst is about and why you guys are here at the conference.
Sure thing.
Cool.
So my name's Southard Jones. I run product strategy at Birst, about 15 years in BI.
Cool.
I actually started at, and forgive me for saying this, at Oracle. It was actually called Tableau Analytics at the time. Now almost a dead product, but started at Birst about 3 years ago and really looking to change BI.
Cool.
Much like Tableau, looking to reinvent BI because right now legacy BI is kind of dying and enterprises need something modern.
Absolutely. And what is, if you could just fill our viewers in, what does Birst do exactly and what is the cool things that they should know about your product?
Sure thing. So Birst is a cloud-based BI solution. It's a platform for large enterprises. We work with large CIOs, heads of BI companies, and help them connect their enterprise through data. So we do that through something called networked BI.
Okay.
And it's a new concept, but it basically creates a fabric of interwoven data across organizations. So whether or not you're an end user in China or the financial analyst in headquarters, all of you get access to the same consistent data at speed.
Cool. And where does that data live then? Because when you say fabric, you know, we all start thinking cloud and then it just gets all amorphous, but there's got to be bits and bytes flowing somewhere. So.
Right. So the beautiful thing about Birst and our network BI approach is the data sits in one place, one physical place.
Cool.
Within a Birst cloud, or it can sit on premise, where it sits or play the data where it lies. But Birst creates a virtual layer of business logic on top of that, and that's how we can network all those together. So you can imagine a virtual instance of BI in China, another one in Brazil, another one for an analyst in India, another major central instance perhaps in New York, but all of them are accessing a single data. So without replicating all that data, you don't create any silos. That's what causes pain today, data silos.
Very, very cool. And I could even have a hybrid model where I store it maybe in the cloud for cost savings and do on-prem backup.
Absolutely.
Or something of my own.
Almost every single one of our customers does exactly that. They have some data they want to keep on-premise for maybe security reasons, or for various other reasons. They have other data they want to move to the cloud or already in the cloud, Amazon Redshift or Salesforce or Marketo or something like that, and we'll access that data and put it in the cloud.
Very cool. And speaking of the cloud, we've had that word out a few times. How important is this in your big data environment? What do you see as is this something you can get around and you don't have to use, or what are the big advantages to it for folks that maybe aren't really up to speed on what the cloud is?
Yeah, so I think cloud architecture is probably the most important thing, and the idea behind cloud architecture is we talked about before, and that's virtualizing your data.
Yep.
So Birst, public cloud offering, about 75% of our customers use it. Our private cloud offering, 25% of our customers use it. Exact same ability to leverage virtual data sets and multi-tenancy. So when we think about cloud, we think about the architecture behind cloud and the modern approach towards developing analytics software versus, it all has to be in the cloud. I think that's a little bit of a red herring. You know, the reality is your private cloud, our public cloud, it doesn't matter. You're leveraging a concept of a cloud architect application.
Got it.
So your data can be, again, in the cloud, on premise, wherever you want.
That's very cool. And how does, so Tableau can hook on the top of Birst as a visualization platform, right?
That's right.
And that integration is pretty smooth, what are the connectors, what's the lowest common denominator you gotta have to?
So to give you a little background on that, I was about almost a year ago now when a number of our customers, joint customers, large enterprises from Tableau and Birst, they were coming to us individually and said, hey, you know, we'd really like you guys to work together. And,
you guys, talk.
And you know, the product guys always knew, hey, we're very complementary.
Yeah.
At the highest level, a lot of people thought we were competitive. But we reached out to the folks at Tableau, and they were tremendous to work with, and we said, hey, you know, this is what we're hearing from customers. And they said, yeah, we're hearing the same thing. So we got together, and we spent about 6 to 9 months of co-developing connector. We wanted it to make it fast. We wanted to make it easy. We want to make sure that end users got joy out of using that connection.
Yep.
The beautiful version of a nice virtualized data store underneath from Birst, and fast, compelling visualizations from Tableau. So that connection, we spent time developing that. We went through 1,100 black box tests from Tableau, and so the customers loved it, versus like, we're just going to throw something out in their market. We spent a lot of time and energy doing that. So we're seeing a lot of success, again, in large enterprises of folks who are saying, hey, I'm a data analyst. I want to have access to data faster. I want to be able to get it to perform really well, even if it's 4 billion rows.
Right.
I'm going to access Birst. And same thing for us. Our customers are saying, hey, we have some data analysts, are really sharp, really smart guys. They want to play with data. Can you guys work with Tableau? Yeah. we'd love Tableau. Here, get as many desktops as you possibly can and let them connect.
Very cool. And the connector is free, or is it?
We do charge for the connector. It's a very small nominal fee.
Got it.
But there's a small charge for that. We also, and to be clear, we also offer what we call a Birst Tableau edition.
Okay.
And what that enables is the customer to buy the beauty of the Birst backend, that data fabric.
Got it.
And they put Tableau across all of the front end.
Got it. And that data fabric, I would imagine, can get up to, it sounds like probably very, very large volumes when
Yes.
you talk about possibly even multiple cloud providers. I mean, you're talking.
Yeah, so we have customers that are in, so we have, to be clear, we have 4 different cloud centers around the globe.
Wow.
So here in the United States, 1 in Europe, 2 actually in APAC. And we have customers that are leveraging data literally around the sun, loading data locally in each of those different instances, but still having one view of that globally around the 24/7, if you will. And so that is something that's available to all those Tableau users.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And is this something, is this, I guess it could probably be either way, user supported, like they maintain it and everything, or you guys do managed as well, I'm guessing?
So primarily most of ours are end user supported. That's why we work with large enterprises. So those are large BI contact centers, IT organizations. Managed service is something that you might hear some of the other cloud vendors talking about doing. We're much more about enabling that customer to be successful. And I think similar to Tableau, who is about enabling those people to be successful with data, rapidly iterating on analysis, that's a good fit for Birst.
Very, very cool. And what would, when would a customer get to a point where they realize I need Birst, or when should they get to a point, even if they didn't know about the technology before?
Yeah, I think the majority of the customers we're working with today are those that are sitting there saying, I don't want to say burdened, but they feel like a little bit of an albatross of some Oracle system or business object system on their back, and they're saying, our end users have gone out, have started using Tableau, they're already using Excel, they're starting to do analysis on their own, because they're not waiting on IT to deliver the reports they want, or waiting on IT even to deliver the data they want.
Yep.
They said, we need something agile and fast that can enable me to deliver data out across the enterprise, rapidly and quickly, yet governed and secure. That's Birst. That's when they come look, speaking with us. And they say, I need to match the agility that my end users demand with the governance that an enterprise demands. And that's when you bring Birst and Tableau together.
Yeah, and that governance and security, everybody claims they have it. What do you guys do that really enables that?
Yeah, so it starts with kind of data silos. And that's data silos is the piece that hampers everybody in an organization. The minute you have silos, there's no way you can really truly have governance. The minute you have silos, security becomes very difficult.
Yep.
I would challenge anyone to say that they're secure if they have data sitting on somebody's desktop. Really? It's secure. I don't care if your laptop's encrypted or not. That's PII data sitting on somebody's laptop. That's not secure.
Yep.
Whereas you look at Birst and you have that physical data being stored in one place that's highly secure, encrypted, all the rest, the advantage of virtualizing that data is you haven't given away anything that's secure. Now people have virtual access to that, but they're not necessarily pulling the physical data out. So not only that, but governance is complicated. And lots of people think of governance in lots of different ways, but you think about just what a user can see. A Western region sales manager sees the West. An Eastern region sales manager sees the East. What happens when they change? Big enterprises, people are changing all the time. How do you manage that? How do you make that seamless so end users are not being burdened by governance, but instead getting benefit from it? If I'm a Western region guy, I just want to log in and see what's in the West. I don't need to be burdened with other stuff.
Absolutely. And does public cloud or private cloud, either one, complicate things more or less? Or?
No, I think it's what really comes down to public cloud versus private cloud is really what the end customer desires in terms of security and control. And an example of that would be European countries that are concerned about various different governing rules between what data can be in the United States versus what data can be in Europe versus what data can even be in different countries. They might be less comfortable with putting the data in a public cloud versus a private cloud. Other organizations say, I want to control everything that happens inside of what I'm doing. Maybe a federal agency, maybe a large bank. Those are strictly a control concern. But the actual product itself, identical. Literally, we run virtual machines in our cloud. And it was like 3 years ago when someone said, hey, can I just run that in my cloud? And we kind of scratched our head and said, well, yeah, actually you can. And there's no reason why you can't. So here you go. And it's a fully multi-tenant. It's like they're literally running their own Birst cloud. In fact, we have some partners in regions that we don't spend a lot of time in that run their own Birst private cloud, South Korea as an example. So they offer a private cloud from Birst, the Birst South Korea, and they run that themselves.
Very cool. And you guys, it sounds like you inject your own hypervisor in there, or you're not?
So it's a virtual machine. It runs an OVF, so you can run on your any VMware or OpenStack, any of the other ones that anyone's running out there today. They can run that whole thing.
Cool.
And it's a fully contained virtual machine they can run.
Very, very cool. And speaking of OpenStack, I'm actually writing a couple articles for Cisco about OpenStack at the moment. And one thing that we're finding is the uptake isn't as aggressive as we'd like to see. Are you seeing that as well?
I wish I could comment on it. I don't know. I actually wish I could tell you the truth, but I don't know.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah.
So what are some of the cool things that you've seen here at the conference or at the keynote today, or just walking around some of the cool companies that you've seen? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's fascinating to me is you're talking to large Fortune 100 companies coming here saying, I am so done with legacy, and I'm so glad there's modern solutions out there that enable me to be successful. And these are folks that are heads of BI at massively large consumer packaged goods companies to individual data analysts that are at banks, and they're all saying, I don't use OBI. I'm not paying my maintenance bills at SAP Business Objects anymore. I'm going to a modern BI system, and I think that's cool. Not only that, but I think from a data perspective, 15 years ago, when people wanted to make decisions on data, you were lucky to get like a spreadsheet. Now the mass is out there, and folks like Tableau give you the ability to get fast visualizations on it, and people like Birst will give you access to every piece of data you can ever get, and you get quick response time. So that's, if you think about how far we've come, it's pretty fascinating. And nothing against the legacy guys. I was there. It was a tool developed for a different time.
Right. And I would imagine, so folks, you can never get cheaper than like commodity hardware and open source software, and Hadoop is great for that, but obviously it doesn't have the speed. When should somebody realize, like, imagine you're like an up and coming Uber or Airbnb or something, and you started out with all this free stuff, and you cobble it together and it works great. What are some of the I hate to use the word, Martin Fowler uses the word smells, right?
Yeah.
The smells of an architecture.
Yeah.
When can you start to see this is breaking apart? What are some of those like flashing signals that Birst maybe maybe a good thing to start considering?
I mean, I think Hadoop specifically, we actually have a lot of customers running Hadoop as their, if you will, data lake or data hub.
Yep.
It's a fantastic storage technology, fantastic for processing large amounts of data.
Yep.
But like most things in software, use it for what it's designed for, which is that.
Right.
Don't use it for end user analytics. The data analyst is going to go nuts.
Totally.
Trying to find the right data in a data lake and then run a query, it takes a long time, or you want to change it slightly, it takes a long time. So I think I'd say it's not necessarily that there's this smell. It's more of, hey, if you start using a tool for something that wasn't really developed to be done for, you're probably doing something wrong, and you could find something else that's better developed for it.
Sure.
From an open source perspective, there are a few open source providers in BI, but I'd say BI is one of those places in the market where you have not seen open source be incredibly successful, mainly because it's very complicated. Right. And requires an army of resources to run an open source solution, whereas there's a lot of developers at Tableau, a lot of developers at Birst that are handling all those corner cases. They're going to give you a pre-built platform versus an open source solution where you're just going to have to hire all those developers yourself.
Absolutely. And speaking of, because you mentioned it as well, Redshift too.
Yes.
Like, what you guys can use that as a backing store as well and pull it in, because I believe it's still Amazon's hottest growing data warehouse, and it definitely serves a lot of masters. So
I think Redshift was our CPO, like I said, was a seminal moment in history in terms of a lot of people will come around saying, "Oh, relational is dead." And I say, "Really?" I don't think so. Take a look at Redshifts growth. Take a look at the success of Amazon Redshift. It's a relational database, right? Yeah. Now, they found a way to make it affordable to store data there, which is great, and relatively performant. So Redshift is a fantastic solution. We have a great partnership with AWS where the unique solution that we can automate the process of building, if you will, a star schema in Redshift.
Oh, cool.
So you can deploy Birst in AWS, bring data from anywhere else, any other cloud, any other on-premise system, and we'll automate the process of building an analytic-ready performance system in Redshift. And we have a number of customers doing that today. And then you can, if you want, you can put Tableau on top of that. So you get the best of all the worlds that you want. You have incredibly low cost, great cloud storage system that's agile in Redshift. You got a BI system that gives you access across the globe, across all your users, and you have a fantastic visualization front end.
Very cool. The one's kind of difficult thing, I think, for a lot of people that are evaluating technology or CTOs or trying to figure these out, is there's so many systems that overlap in various ways. What do you personally? I think all when we're in this space, we generally start to understand this is good for that and that's good for this other thing. What would you recommend to those folks that are maybe kind of being thrust into this space and they had a legacy system and they've got to switch over, and how can they get a good picture of all this stuff? Obviously, this conference is a good thing, but what other things could you recommend for them?
I mean, I think there's a couple things. One is talk to some folks who have done it.
Good point.
There's CIOs from larger companies like Reckitt Benckiser, a thought leader in this space. Folks from American Express. These are folks that are on the thought leadership side of this.
Yep.
Find out what they did. Most of those have probably tried one or two, three things before they've found out the one that really works.
Absolutely.
That's the first thing I'd say. Other thing I'd say is you can listen to the vendors, but listen to the analysts. The folks at Gartner and Forrester, they're pretty smart folks. They've talked to a lot of their other peers. They're pretty good. The last thing I'd say is try it. But this day and age, you don't have to just believe everything Oracle tells you. You can actually go out and use the software.
Cool. And do you guys have like a 30-day trial or something?
So every single one of our deployments, people are actually putting our software to work before they actually make the purchase.
Very, very cool. And what's your limitation on that? Is that they get 30 days or they can just kind of play as long as they want?
Our limitation is they have to be serious about buying.
Cool.
And that's about it.
That is
but
really cool.
I'm not interested in giving away free software for someone kicking tires. But if they have a serious business challenge they're trying to address, then we'll engage with them.
Very, very cool. And do you guys have you mentioned client stories and all that. Do you have a white paper section on the website folks could check out as well?
We do. Thanks
cool.
plug. There's a great resource page. It's got case studies on there. It's got white papers on the technology. It has a number of videos from some of these thought leaders that I was just mentioning before.
Cool. And are those the big examples you would recommend to Amex and
Reckitt Benckiser, RB.
Reckitt Benckiser. Could you say that more slowly again?
Yeah, Reckitt Benckiser. The name is not familiar, but their brands, Lysol, Woolite, things of that nature.
Got it, okay. And can you just give us a quick rundown of whichever one you think is maybe more relevant to our viewers, maybe folks like that are trying to get a picture on doing this?
Sure, so consumer packaged good industry is a fascinating industry. It's there's Procter & Gamble, there's Unilever, there's these really large companies. But the market share battle is actually being fought in the developing countries.
Okay.
So if you gain market share in the United States, it might be by 0.001%. It's because you ran a price promotion. But in developing countries, it's growing like crazy.
Sure.
So RB is the fastest growing CPG company in developing countries. And they figured out the way they're going to do that is actually put data in the hands of their end users.
Okay.
So the way a sales rep works in CPG companies, they walk into a store like a Walgreens or a grocery store and recommend which products should be stocked at what price.
I see.
How do they know that? Data.
Yeah.
Right? And data that's up to the minute, reflecting what's important for their region, based on point of sale data that came in yesterday or even that minute about what people are buying, and social media data about what marketing is happening in that area.
Right.
That's how someone like an RB can use data as competitive advantage. The challenge there is, though, that you have 20 different regions. They all act different. Brazil acts different than India, acts different than Russia, acts different than China. Schemas are different, data is different. How do you possibly enable all of that, at the same time give the CEO a view of what orders came in globally at the same time? That's what Birst is doing. That's networked BI.
Very cool, I get it. Saves them the dice toss of hiring 300 people and hoping they get it correct.
Exactly right, and it makes them more successful. And they can grow faster than they thought, and they can reduce their inventory cost, increase their overall sales, and drive more competitive pressure in the market.
Very cool. And again, because we got just about a minute left, maybe we could hear just how Amex does things as well.
Sure.
That'd be really cool.
So, American Express is another thought leader in terms of how they're using Hadoop.
Yep.
They have a data lake underneath of there. And actually, the interesting thing about American Express is their story is how they serve data to their end customers.
Okay.
So American Express Global Business Travel.
Okay.
Many people know them, but a number of large enterprises are using them for how they use and think about travel.
Got it.
They use Birst to actually give them analytics to their end customers. So here's a thought leader in terms of saying, I have data, I can actually sell this. Before Birst, there was another legacy BI provider, I won't say who it was.
Okay.
American Express called it American Express Global Business Travel Insights, so GBT Insights. They put in Birst, it was called Premier Insights.
Nice plug.
And that's another thought leadership that says I have data internally. It's not just for my internal use. I can actually make money off of it and become a competitive advantage externally, given to end users.
Very cool. Yeah, data is a product.
Data is a service. Data is a product. Exactly.
Yeah. Very cool. Southard, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I think you definitely brought us up to speed on what Birst is, and was glad to get that from you.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much. Enjoy the conference.
Thanks.